Champions do what competitors won't do. So you might be like, oh, that looks stupid. That'll never work. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Monarch and Moreau. And this channel is dedicated to funeral professionals who, although they don't have the lowest price, they wouldn't mind making the most of it. In this video, we're going to do some training. We're going to start doing some reframing so we can have that power at the point of sale at the bargaining table. So here are some exercises that we're going to do that's going to give us power. Now, as long as you get the minimum dosage, you do this every day for 7 to 10 days, you're going to see a positive result. You just have to listen and follow the instruction. What you want to do is you want to commit 2 of these propositional phrases and you want to bring them with you to the office. So you want to listen to these at home, then you want to go into the office and you want to be able to remember them when you get to the office. So you might have to listen to them a few times, but you want to exercise some commitment over them, right? Tattoo them on your heart, go to the office, repeat it to someone. That's all you got to do. Just do it for a few days in a row and watch what happens. This technique is going to give you the words top of mind so that you know exactly what the difference is between good quality care that you provide and maybe what someone else is offering. So what we do in this technique is we take something like a service differentiator and we want to tattoo it on our heart. We want it to become kind of part of what we do. We might be in the same industry, but we're definitely not in the same business as someone else. We're so different. Let me tell you how we're different. Now, you can't do that if you can't internalize it first, if you don't have the word. So we're going to give you the words for a service differentiator that allow you to internalize it and then have that role commitment. You have to do is commit to the words. So we're going to look at the service differentiator. You need to remember this service differentiator when you hit the office, right? So you got to remember this, hit the office running, and then you got to remember the 2 follow-up examples. Those are 3 things to remember. This is what you got to do. But if you do this for 7 to 10 days, you're going to have a breakthrough. You're going to have an amazing result. We're going to start leaving that commodity-based mentality completely behind. Here's our propositional differentiator number 1. We're going to commit this. We're going to tattoo this on our hearts. We're always going to know this. Recruitment is a critical factor in achieving a competitive advantage in caregiving. Unlike commodity-based industries where physical labor or product quality can be standardized, caregiving is a human-centric service where individual caregivers' emotional and cognitive capabilities directly impact the service delivered. We're going to learn some rhetoric around this state. And by learning this rhetoric, by committing over the words to this rhetoric for this statement, we're going to internalize it and we're going to become persuasively powerful at the point of sale where the rubber meets the road at the bargaining table. Now, they've taken rhetoric out of schooling. They didn't think you needed it, but I think you need it. I think you need it right now more than ever. Let's get into it. Now, repetition is the mother of mastery, and rhetoric has a number of repetition techniques. Rhetoric says that to emphasize the distinction between caregiving and commodity-based industries, something that's going to help us have the framework to see our way out of commodity-based thinking, we can use repetition at the start of successive clauses. Now, rhetoric has proven to be persuasive. It's like a best practices in persuasion. And remember, our work is to increase our inner wherewithal of self-sold. Our only work in training is to persuade ourselves. Just keep going. So let's write this down. Let's commit this to ourselves. Let's get our phone out and let's get our voice app out and let's record ourselves saying this. In caregiving, it's not the tools we use, it's the hearts we engage. In caregiving, it's not the standard procedures, it's the personalized attention. In caregiving, it's not the machinery, but the empathy that makes the difference. In caregiving, it's not the tools we use, it's the hearts we engage. In caregiving, it's not the standard procedures, it's the personalized attention. In caregiving, it's not the machinery, but the empathy that makes the difference. So there's something in training known as the SAID principle, specific adaptations to impose demands. Now, unless you're immune to neuroplasticity, this is going to have an effect on you, a positive effect on you. By repeating this, you're highlighting the unique value to yourself that differentiates you from a commodity-based product industry. You're focusing on the emotional and cognitive elements. You're going to be able to bring those forth when you need to in the moment at the bargaining table. Let me give you another one that's going to reinforce you. The next one is, with a rich vocabulary, caregivers communicate clearly. With a rich vocabulary, caregivers navigate the emotional complexities of their work with grace and precision. Now, the reason we're repeating with a rich vocabulary, the reason we're repeating that is because we want to reinforce to ourselves why we're doing the things we're doing. Why are we worried about words? Well, the reason we're worried about words is because words shape our thoughts, and the thoughts that we have create our state. And the state that we're in dictates the level of emotional intelligence that we can bring to bear in any execution or delivery of emotional labor. Creating a responsibility, a duty. I'm acknowledging the fact that a rich vocabulary is critically connected to caregiving success. If I want caregiving proficiency, then I need a high level of language skill. So I'm using repetition to take mental ownership of that fact. Now remember, we're doing reinforcement and repetition, but we're also going to learn some rhetoric. So let's look at the other repetition techniques. What we're really talking about is the uniqueness of the human element, right? It's unpredictability. I want you to repeat this one now. Recruitment is essential for competitive advantage in caregiving because caregiving requires empathy. Service quality can't be standardized in caregiving because caregiving demands emotional insight. The impact caregivers have is critical in caregiving because caregiving is about human interaction. Recruitment is essential for competitive advantage in caregiving because caregiving requires empathy. Service quality can't be standardized in caregiving because caregiving demands emotional insight. The impact caregivers have is critical in caregiving because caregiving is about human interaction. Remember, said principle, specific adaptations to impose demands, neural connectivity. Remember, to sell the difference, we got to know it in our soul, that inner wherewithal of self soul. So we're creating those associations, that neural connectivity, right? So we can really know it, right? And we're connecting caregiving at the end of each clause to the importance of the human element, that unique differentiator that's intrinsic to caregiving. Say after me. In caregiving, emotional intelligence makes the difference in caregiving. In caregiving, recruitment drives quality in caregiving. In caregiving, human connection defines the experience in caregiving. In caregiving, emotional intelligence makes the difference in caregiving. In caregiving, recruitment drives quality in caregiving. In caregiving, human connection defines the experience in caregiving. Nobody would ever say it like that, Spence. I understand that. We're in training right now. This is just to increase the rate of adaptation, the neural plasticity. We're just trying to speed that up by fostering stronger connections and using rhetoric internally. These are specifically designed to increase our own storehouse of self sold wherewithal. So we're using repetition to go in to our mental constructs, whatever paradigm that's currently self-sabotaging us at the bargaining table. We're using this repetition as a wrecking ball to destroy all those old structures and rebuild them, replace them with thought patterns and mental models that work on our behalf rather than work against us. You got to make room for the transformation. So this repetition is going to break through those walls, break down those old structures, those old patterns, and install new ones that are going to work in your best interests rather than work against you. Caregiving is not about machines, but about humans. Humans who care, humans who feel, humans who heal. Caregiving is not about machines, but about humans. Humans who care, humans who feel, humans who heal. Caregiving isn't about machines, but about humans. Humans who care, humans who feel, humans who heal. In caregiving and around here, we don't just give care. We care about how we give it. We don't just give care. We care about how we give it. Vocabulary shapes emotional intelligence and it builds precision in caregiving. Articulation skills deepen empathy and they create clarity in caregiving. Industry specific lexicons provide caregivers with nuance and they bring insight to caregiving. In caregiving, vocabulary shapes how we interact in caregiving. In caregiving, articulation determines how we care in caregiving. In caregiving, a rich lexicon allows us to be precise in caregiving. A rich vocabulary helps caregivers express emotions, emotions that matter, emotions that heal, emotions that connect. In caregiving, words give meaning, and meaning gives us the words we need to care. So, just like if you had a thoroughbred and you brought him to the best horse trainer, the only reason you do that is because you want to make that horse profitable, right? Champions do what competitors won't do. So, you might be like, oh, that looks stupid. That'll never work. But for those that are willing to work, what we're really working towards is our ability to sustain intentional thinking. It's lapses in thinking that lead to lapses in delivering care, lapses in emotional intelligence delivered. So, we're going to make things easier for us by reducing our cognitive load, by giving ourselves a preset lexicon curated specifically for this purpose to have power at the bargaining table. But we've got to commit ourselves to the words, tattoo them on our heart, and then do the work. Write down 3, bring them to work, train with a partner, first you, then them, every time more persuasive. 7 days. That's it.